Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
The night was black, rain falling down, but for my baby she was nowhere around. I traced her footsteps down to the shore, afraid she's gone forevermore.
Yeah, what's not gone forevermore is Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show, right here with your hosts Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. And we are on a rollicking, we're zooming back into our pattern here. We had a unscheduled week off, but we're back to bring you the highest quality of automotive. We're fully vetted, by the way, on Long Island. So just
automotive help for people that don't need automotive help. That's us.
Didn't ask for it, don't want it, but
don't need it.
Anyway, exactly. That's that right.
That's exactly it. The automotive talk show that is completely out of place on this radio station.
Out of place, out of touch, out of mind, out of sight, out of body.
Exactly.
We got it.
All the kids shut us off. All the housewives shut us off. Oh, Motormouth Radio's on. Just shut it off.
Right.
They stopped listening a long time ago. How are you, Ray?
Oh, good to see you, Chris. We do have a great guest today. We have Mr. Larry Montanez. I don't even know how to encapsulate what Larry does, but he does a lot of really cool stuff with insurance and post repair inspections, because that's a big deal. When you get your car, when you bring your car in, you're at the hands of you're at the mercy of the shop who's working on it, and sometimes you choose the shop. And other times you don't, and you just go where where your car is, and you have the right to. If you listen to our, the spot we did for Celebrity Chase, you'll hear that we say, you have the right to bring your car to the shop that you want, not where they want, to avoid any kind of fraud issues. And Larry gets involved with the post, so we'll let him take care of that. But he'll be covering it a little bit. What do you got happening in the meantime? What was going on in
Holy smokes, we could do a whole show just on that alone with what I have going on. I had an issue with the Mazda once again. Remember me talking a couple of months back about the coils, that you should not buy cheap coils because you get what you pay for.
And you did.
I did. I got. How did they spell it on the package? Oh, it was ignition. That's how it was spelled on the package.
Right.
Coils. Yeah, but I felt I was going up a slight grade with the car, and I felt it go. And even Dawn said, like, what was that? I'm like, those are those cheap coils. So I ordered a set of standards.
Okay.
And paid a good chunk of change for them. And they're in there now. And we just took a trip this weekend. We went upstate for a little bit, turned around and came back with the car. And it was thankfully flawless. The coils were no more, because you knew once you felt that interruption of a power flow, you knew the next thing was going to be a check engine light. The next thing was going to be a P030 1 to 6. So I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm done with it. So the nicety about, this of all too well, the nicety about working on a vehicle that you've previously worked on is things come apart easily. Everything is all massaged, so you have no problem taking it apart or putting it back together. Unlike the vehicle I have now.
Right.
I did a car swap with with a good friend of mine. He now has the tracker. I have his pickup truck.
What?
Yes, I have a pickup truck. So I have a 98 Chevy Cheyenne 1500 with your basic plebeian 305. But when I tell you that this thing, trying to get a set of spark plugs out was a chore in itself, and it wasn't the plugs, it was it was the boots. Getting the boot off the plug was a drag. Just to get back to those cheap coils, two of those coils, when I popped them out, the plug boot stayed in there. On the V6.
Right.
So I had to get my long needle nose pliers and literally pick out pieces of them so I could get that cleared out. And the same thing happened with the plug wires on the pickup truck. I actually tore one of the boots.
That happens commonly because people don't do one specific thing. But one way to help that is to twist that boot first, kind of twist it, and it can still be stuck. So sometimes there's nothing you can do. But the thing you can do when you install the wires is you get yourself a tube of dielectric grease. Yes. Or plug grease, and you just put a little dab of it in that hole of the plug boot, and it'll coat itself onto the plug and kind of stop it. Or depending how long they're going to be on there. I've had plugs that had that in the grease in the wires that still got stuck years later if they weren't changed. But it really helps a lot.
No, you're absolutely right. Twisting and pulling out a nice spit in there, and then put it back in. That works. Yeah. No, I don't spit. Just checking if you were listening. But yeah, that was the hard part. And that's the thing. Working on something that you have not touched first always takes insurmountably so much more time.
Right.
To get it done. Just like what we talked about last week before with the oil filter. Trying to get that oil filter off my Camry was not easy.
And I'll tell you something. That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And what I wanted to do was I wanted to come back with a show that talked about spark plugs, about spark plug removal, because that's another thing people have a lot of trouble with. And there's a lot of different, we all know now, like the modern Ford engines have a problem with the plugs. They seize. There's a tool that actually breaks them out of the head. When they make the repair tool, that there's a real problem that's got to be addressed, because when the aftermarket gets involved to make money on something, that the OEM did something wrong.
Right.
So we'll get to that. We'll visit that in future shows.
So I've been a wealth of automotive technology and dirty knuckles and crying for the last couple of weeks. How about you? Well,
people, I've been maintenance, but people can also cry, and they can call us at 516-572-7440.
Yes.
You can talk to Larry. He'll be on the show, and you can speak with him if you want by using that number. You could text us at
203-670-4127. We'll get you right here at the Constitution State hotline.
Yeah.
And I'm here for you. I'm here for you. So take your thumbs and other things and type and text us.
Let's start off like this and say, hi, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouth. Yes, caller. I did push the button.
Hit the button.
I did.
Push the button, Ray.
I did. So, all right. They can call back. Or, check us on social media, Motormouth Radio on Facebook and X, and on Instagram, it's real_Motormouth Radio. And, of course, go to the YouTube channel. There's two of them, Motormouth Radio and Motormouth Video, where you can watch the video of this show, or just put it up listen to it as a podcast in the background. And, of course, you can go to Spreaker, nccradio.org, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey. Use the HPC app, and it'll tell you when the show is on. You can listen to it. It'll take you to one of the services, and you could listen and/or download the show, whatever you want to do with it. Burn it. At this point, it's all been done already. You're not going to do anything original, so.
Open up your window. We'll shout loud.
We've done that too.
Just that way.
Yeah. So no, I really haven't done. I was actually at the shop last week. I brought a good friend, Bob Jones from the Olds Club. He needed to replace his minivan. His transmission went, and it was, it's at the point we all have that you kind of know when it's time to let it go, Or when
Right.
do you want to put more? And he needed a transmission on a vehicle that had over 200,000 miles, but that he knew and he had been driving and liked. And he just decided, like, maybe it's time just to find, another one. So he bought another used minivan.
What was the old minivan that needed the transmission? What was it, do you know?
It's a Chrysler, and he liked
Oh,
Chryslers because I found him a couple others, and he says, no, I like the Chrysler. So he found one locally, a town and country. He likes it because of the way the seats stow, and
he likes his stow and go.
yeah, because he'll put anything from boxes to an engine in the back of that thing, and and move it around.
Great.
So I said, listen, let's get it in the shop and let's just do a quick, he wanted to do an oil change, even though the guy said he had recently done one. And again, we found out the truck takes 6 quarts. There were 5 in it. So again, you don't know till you're the guy that was the last guy.
Right. And I'm learning that as well as we speak. So,
Right.
so
we
what
did.
happened?
I said, let's get it. We'll get it up on the lift. I said, we'll get the wheels off. And this way we can look at the brake hoses, the lines. We'll do a brake flush while we're there. We'll do a tire rotation. He goes, wow, yeah, I'm going to do all that. I said, yeah, we're going to do my kind of service on the thing.
Right. So he bought it from a private sale, I'm
Yeah.
assuming, right?
Yeah, private sale. And we right off the bat, we found out we had problems because some of the lug nuts we couldn't get off. And not that we couldn't get them off, I couldn't get a socket to fit.
Oh,
Because these are the lug nuts that are the steel ones with the stainless steel cap, and moisture gets in there and swells. So you need
Right.
what's called a half-size socket, which I already put on my list to tell Brian goes in my next order because I don't have half-size sockets. So I beat an impact socket on there, and then but I said to him, okay, I used an impact socket, I beat it on, I was able to use a punch to knock the nut out. I said, but and I tell this to everybody. I said, now let's just say this is the real world. It's 12:30 or 1 in the morning. You're coming home from a wedding with your wife and maybe your grandkids in the car. You're wearing your night,
right.
and it's raining, and it's dark, and it's cold, and you're on the side of the road in the mud. How are you're not getting this wheel off?
You're not getting that wheel off.
You are not doing it. So he had a punch list of things that he wanted to get for the truck, and what I said, 20 lug nuts, by 20 solid lug nuts. And that's going to be, the case. So we had trouble in the shop. Imagine if you were on the road.
Exactly. And I totally get it. I totally get it. And that's what I had done with the pickup. One of the things that I did as well when I had the daylight for it, because working outside now, it's tough. And I was able to break free the lug nuts on the back wheels of the truck. And boy, was that a pain in the butt. So
Right.
yeah, I totally understand it. And it had the plastic caps on them too.
Right.
So I had to take the plastic caps off, and the plastic caps actually held the center hub cover on. They actually had a purpose. So I was able to take those off and then access the lug nuts and then put them off, take the wheel, look, put them back on, and put them back on so I can get them off.
Well, I'll tell you what else we're going to get off. We're going to get off of a good rest of the show because I see we have Larry in the house. Larry, pleasure to see you again. Haven't seen you in a couple of years. It's been a while. You've been on this show.
Yeah, Larry.
Quite a while.
It's been a while.
How you guys doing?
I think we still had Steve Broncatello around when.
I don't know. Maybe because, of course, we found Larry. I met Larry through our good friend Ray. Ray Miranda, the fixer, and who says hi, by the way. He'll be in touch with you soon. Ray is he was pushing me. You got to get Larry on the show. Got to get Larry on the show. And Ray, it's like once he makes a suggestion, if you don't do it, he's going to remind you. So I think he reminded me. I said, all right, I'll call Larry. I'll call him. I want to talk to the guy anyway. So it is a pleasure. Larry, let's start off with having you tell us and the audience what it is that you do, because you do some specialized stuff, and I didn't want to get it wrong. So I figured I'd leave it up to you.
Exactly.
I do snow removal in Florida. And so far, we haven't had any snow in Florida in the last 300 years. Might be a good idea to start that business based on what happened in Texas a couple of years ago, where they got a little dusty
right?
snow. They didn't know what to do with it. No one had a broom, I guess.
Right. All the power shut down. That was it.
Yes, everything froze. I've been involved in the collision repair industry since I'd say like 87, 88 when I left high school, and was around the collision repair industry a lot of my life through my high school because my next door neighbor owned a mechanic shop, body shop, and I would go there to work after school. That was my after school job, and then I would come home at 6:30, and then do my homework from there. And that was every day, 3 hours. So I, kind of got it in my blood a little bit, and I should have probably went to college. I did make Pratt Institute. I did make Cooper Union. I did make MIT. So you're basically talking to a galactically idiotic person here who didn't take those opportunities at the time.
You're in with good company, Larry. You know that.
You went to the college of
Yes,
life.
we're all idiots.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you do something really stupid and get into radio.
Oh yeah.
So I wound up working in collision shops. I started getting some training through a couple of different areas, such as the ICAR, which is the Inter-Industry Conference on Auto Collision Repair.
Right.
I had
remember
done a little
that.
bit of that, and I did some OEM, factory based training that they had for some of their programs way back when. And now it's a lot more popular, but back then it wasn't as popular. There's only 2 or 3 companies that did it. I later became an instructor for iCar, and we parted ways in 2010. And I just basically did my own thing of teaching and training. And in 2010, I wound up running into Kristen Felder from Collision Hub. She had just left State Farm and started that. And funny enough, my partner of the P&L Consultants is Pete Pratty, and he was a big guy with big position with Progressive for years. Now I think he's with AAA, and I had him as a partner. So I seem to have gravitated to my enemy. If you want to, draw a line in the sand and make a fence there, that I was with partnered up with 2 different insurance personnel people. That if they can get along with me, why can't anyone else? And I became an advocate for consumers. Shops seem to think I'm there for the shops. I'm not. I'm there for the consumer to get the right repair, the right job done, which is part of some of the stuff I do now. I'm going to elaborate on it later. Right to appraisals and post repair inspections, and obviously the normal collision training and remote estimating thing that we got going on now. So just basically, I do a lot in the collision repair field. I'm a consumer advocate. I write articles. I teach programs. I'm very select on who I take on as a client. I'm kind of weird that way. I'm not you can't hire me. I have to choose you, if that makes sense to a certain extent.
Sure does.
So it does become an area of issue. I'm from Brooklyn, so I rub people the wrong way across the country many of times.
I'm
So
with you, my brother, fellow Brooklynite. I get it.
I take a little getting used to. So, and we also have no filter when we're from New York, and even worse when you're from Brooklyn. So people don't understand the whole, the crutch. I guess they're called crutch words, if I remember correctly, from taking some speaking classes. So my crutch words can sometimes be an or an which you're not supposed to do when you publicly speak. But even worse
Right.
is I have curse words that are crutch words, and
Yeah.
I believe and I love when they say to me the F word. It's like what, fudge,
Yeah.
a
Fudge.
fork,
Yeah.
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean by the F word? What are we, 3 years old? We can't say it. But I use it as that, what's that YouTube video that comes up? The adjective, the pronoun, the conjunctive
Right.
word. I can use it for anything. So I have a tendency to do that. So I have to be careful of that. And then it's surprising my on-air personality or my video personality or even my classroom personality that people see on social media and live. It's funny how they've caught me in court a couple of times. Like, you're not the same way. I was like, well, I'm in court. You can't be that way.
Right.
In court, I decide I'm going to go with, it's a little misleading at times for people to go, oh, I've seen that guy. I'm going to destroy him on the stand. And I get in the stand, and they're like, uh-oh. So it is somewhat of an entertaining, business and entertaining portion that I've found a little niche for myself in. So, I mean, it's basically anything collision repair is what I'm involved in, try and help people out and stuff. So that's kind of like where I'm at, and do training and stuff like that, and specialized courses, and have a few clients across the United States. So that's where I'm at.
I have to
Larry,
say, Larry,
what do you do training in?
Oh, excuse me?
What do you do training in? Like what are you training
Oh,
collision
okay. Well,
repair guys? Are you
how
training
to
consumer?
estimate. how to estimate the repair damages more efficiently and more profitably, how to run the shop, set the shop up, run the shop more efficiently, how to deal with consumers, how to deal with insurance companies on negotiations. Too many shops think that the insurance company has a say. Too many shops feel that insurance companies are in charge. Too many shops feel that, the insurance company runs everything. That's nothing farther from the truth. The problem comes in is that they don't want to involve the customer. They don't want to talk to the customer. And they have this fear that's been built into them over the years that if I charge the customer or get the customer involved, they're not going to come back to me. They're going to go to the guy down the block. Well, if McDonald's, Burger King, Starbucks, Kookaburra, um, what's some of the other, Wawa, 7-Eleven, all thought that way, none of them would sell coffee.
Mm.
And I've done studies across a market area, 1 mile market area over labor rate stuff. And we actually used coffee one time. And literally, you can get off the Roach Coach 16-ounce cup of black, hot flavored water, which is what coffee is, and all the way up to like 425 at a Starbucks.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So you're talking like a 200% difference between the lowest and the high. And I also found out that in this 1 mile area, the three Dunkin' Donuts and the three 7-Elevens were owned by the same guy because they have that, ability to buy before they sell to somebody else, and you can only be in a certain area, and you got to approve the next guy who wants to buy. So, okay, that makes sense for franchising. I get it. But all three of those two separate companies, those guys who own those three locations, the prices were different for the same 16-ounce cup of black, hot flavored water. So how could that be in a 1 mile radius? It's not like we're talking where I checked it in Franklin Square, I went to Westbury, and then I went to Patchogue, and the same guy owns all three places. All right, I expect a little bit of a price difference there. Taxes in the area, the area a community that's coming in to buy it and stuff. What's their expectations of what the place is supposed to look like? Overhead costs. But when you're in the same area, if I got Franklin Square or Malvern or Rockville Center, and you're in the same area, you're pretty much looking at it being the same as far as your cost. So how can the so it was just to prove that each shop makes their own labor rate, their own time, I mean, their own money on what they think or what their accountant tells them they have to charge per hour to turn a profit. And you can't compare it to mechanical because mechanical work is a 1-to-1 ratio. And it's always going to be a higher amount for mechanical work because you got to remember body work, collision repair work is based on the fact that the point one, the 6 minutes to the 1 hour for 1.0 is based on a non-damaged car in a non-damaged condition with non-damaged parts being put on it. So you have to say to yourself, wait a second, that's idiotic. What do you mean? I'm going to take a fender off a car that's nothing wrong with it and put another fender on the car?
No,
That makes
no.
us no. Well, that's how
Yeah,
you got to start someplace. So that's
Sure.
how they start, and then they have a lot in their procedural pages or explaining for the labor. It's like for an on-the-spot evaluation, they say. So you can negotiate and say, hey, look, there's some extra damages here that this isn't going to come off this way. There's collision access. There's some structural pulling or realignment that I have to do prior to removing these parts. There's additional time that's not included in the labor that they list for you that's not included in the labor time because it's, stuff that you normally would have to do. You might have to drill, you might have to sand. They don't know that each time, so you can add those times. And that's where I teach. I can teach a shop to become more profitable. But mechanic work is basically a 1-to-1 ratio. Collision repair can be anywhere on a low end. Let's say putting an emblem on a car is a 1-to-1 ratio to changing a quarter panel, which could be a 5-to-1 ratio on the labor time versus the actual practical time that you have to do, depending on skill, knowledge, tools, equipment, the type of damage to the vehicle that it sustained, adjacent panel damages, how the panels are affixed to each other. Are they rivets and glue? Are they glued? Is it, oh, I should say bonded, not glued. Bonded, is it welded? Is it well bonded? So that's a wide range there. If a water pump is no good, and I know both of you guys are mechanical based, if a water pump is no good, a water pump can seize correctly, right, from rust. Okay, the bearing could break and go out of whack and cause it not to spin. You could have a leak with one of the seals, right?
Sure.
Those types of damages. What changes when you guys unbolt it and bolt it back into the car? Nothing. It's
Nothing.
just doesn't matter what damage happens to it. Once again, you got to remember, mechanic work is not based on collision damage, based on the life expectancy of the component or how the component's supposed to operate or a failure of the component. Okay, so
Mhm.
if you have a short to ground that fries out a module, or you have a diode that goes bad, or you have a flood that fries out the entire module. Unbolting those four bolts on the module after gaining access by taking out the seat and lifting up the carpet and unplugging and plugging it back in is the same procedure, regardless of the damage that happened to it.
Mhm.
Okay. So mechanic work is a one-to-one. So the labor rate's always going to be higher. And I love when a body shop personnel argue that a mechanic gets 145, 175, 185 to change oil. Well, you do know it takes like 10 minutes to change oil nowadays because of the vacuum systems they have and the fill systems they have. And a lot of that stuff's got to be done through computer, which actually takes longer than the physical sucking the oil out and pushing the oil back in again. A brake job is a brake job. I really don't care what kind of brake job you're working on, disc brakes or disc brakes. It could be a Chevy, a Benz, an Audi, a Porsche, a Bentley, a Rolls Royce. It could be a 1972 Duster with disc brakes on it, although I think a 72 Duster had drum brakes. But it could
Mhm.
be disc brakes from the 70s. It's basically the same procedure for you guys to unbolt it and put in new brakes. The material might be different, but the actual labor is the same. Okay. And
Mhm.
that's where these shops get lost on that. It's like, well, they get so paid so much more than we do. No, they don't. They get paid in accordance to how long it takes them. So the repetition of you doing it makes you faster at that job. Because if it's 2 hours to put the water pump in and out, that's all you get is 2 hours. If it's the first time you're doing this particular water pump, guess what? It might take you 3, 4 hours to put it in. But if you work at, Mercedes Benz and you've done, 12 or 15 S class water pumps for some reason, you become pretty proficient with them. You might get it done in an hour now. You can beat the clock on that and make a little extra on it. But the body shops don't seem to understand that the labor rate is based on undamaged parts and undamaged car to start with, and then the estimator or the damage assessor is the one who has to come up with what isn't included and how do I prove that it's not included and how do I negotiate for that to make it a more profitable job. Because if you just point and click in an estimating system, you're gonna go broke, literally. So that's some of the stuff I teach and some of the miscommunication that you have that's out there right now. And why people are so dumbfounded now. It's like, oh, my neighbor backed into my door. And that seems to be very, very popular on Long Island for some reason because I think the streets aren't as wide and people back out, and I don't think they use their rearview mirrors or their cameras or whatever. And it's always a big, huge inward deformity to the front door or the rear door. You're like a big oil can. Then if I squeeze the tin can, and they'll come in, and it's like you do understand, like, and this could be a Chevy Equinox. You do realize this front door is $1,800. It's not even a Mercedes Benz. The door itself is $1,800. I don't think
Mhm.
this guy wants to pay out of pocket because then I got to paint the front fender, paint the rear door. These two moldings are not reusable. That emblem isn't that stupid emblem says Equinox is $140. So you get into this whole thing. It's like, let's call the guy, or the woman, let me speak to them and say, hey, look, the parts alone, we're looking at $4,000. Now you have the ADAS stuff inside the car for, convenience. We wanted it. And now that we wanted it, we don't realize it costs money to fix that stuff. So your blind spot monitor, your all-around camera, a lot of that stuff's installed or part of the side view mirror. And if I take the side view mirror off the front door and put it back on again, all that stuff has to be reorientated aimed. I hate the word calibration. Engineering classes and engineering associations despise the word calibration. Calibration's done at the factory when they make the component, not even at the dealer. Excuse me, the Mercedes Benz. Let's say they don't calibrate at Mercedes Benz. It's calibrated at Bosch or whatever electronics or Sony. Whoever made the equipment, calibrates and certifies it. When it gets to Mercedes Benz, Audi, Porsche, Jaguar, Land Rover, they then aim it or orientate it to the car or introduce it to the car. It depends on the terminology they're using. So in the after sales repair field, that's what we do. So some of those cars, if I had a guy with a, I'm not going to throw the particular company under the bus, but with this one particular company, it's a luxury SUV from what you think is a, reasonably priced car company, but they have their luxury line, and it needed a mirror. The guy broke the mirror off. The mirror alone was like $2,800. And
Jeez.
it takes it okay, $2,800 mirror takes the same amount of time to put on as a $40 mirror from the 1970s, where you got to take off the door trim panel, take off the three bolts, unplug something or loosen a wire, and take it off and put it back on again. The problem was it had to go back to the dealer for a wheel alignment and have the targets aimed to it. So that was a wheel alignment targets being aimed, two different heights for the car being up and down, and that wound up being like another $1,500. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's expensive. That's just a mirror. So I tell people, it's like, yeah, the mirror is fine, but it's $1,500 at the dealer for them to take them, for them to aim it and stuff like that, to make that little red light, that little triangle come on, or the little beeping sound inside your car, or the three little curved lines to light up to let you know that somebody's next to you. And we've become that way. Listen, and people are like, oh, I don't need all that crap. Yeah, really? Well, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you put your hand on the back seat and looked over your shoulder to back up? Because you use your camera. Don't lie to me. Everyone does. Everyone uses the camera, and then you use the parking sensors to figure out how close you can get to the guy. So these nuances that we required to have inside these vehicles as advanced technology is costing us money. This is no different than getting a windshield replaced, because a lot of that stuff stuck to the windshield. So you can't put an aftermarket glass. You really not supposed to have glass done outside on the street, although I know all the companies, I'm not going to throw any of the companies under the bus, but they do this remote stuff. They come to your house, and I recommend you never do that. Most of it's 24-hour drive away time at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees humidity. So let me ask you a question. I don't know, what is it, like 31 degrees out here in Brooklyn today?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
So
It's in the mid-30s, low 40s.
how do I put this windshield in my car today outside in the street? How do I put it inside of a shop? Because, most shops, as you guys have been in, are not 70 degrees.
Nope.
The air conditioning, the heat might be on it at 70 degrees, but the car metal is not 70 degrees. And how do you get that humidity up to 70% for 24 hours?
Good point.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's something we can think on, because our magic mirror has told me that it's the bottom of the hour, Larry. So we have to take our mandated break or we get a fine.
Okay.
So speaking of the weather, I have to say, as I look out the WHPC weather window up here, I say your HPC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet, with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. And today, rain likely. It was drizzling when I came in. High of 49. I don't think it's going to hit it. Tonight, evening clouds give way to overnight clearing, low of 35, and tomorrow is going to be mainly sunny in the 40s. That's nice going forward. And if you are you a proud member of the Nassau Community College alumni like me? Well, you know what? Find out more information about the Nassau Community College Alumni Association. For more information, please visit ncc.edu/alumni, which takes us right to our favorite section of the bottom of the hour, the honor group of the hour. Do we have one today, Chris?
Of course we do, Ray. And this week, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour is we're saluting those who still appreciate the iron and ingenuity that rolled out of the Hudson Motor Car Company. You know who you are, the crazy enthusiasts who admired the step-down bodies, the sweeping lines, the ahead-of-their-time engineering, and the racing pedigree that helped Hudson punch its way above its weight class. So whether you geek out over a Hornet, dream about a Commodore, or simply tip your cap when you spot one at a car show, you're keeping the legacy of one of America's most innovative automakers alive you're part of the Motor Mouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. If you dig Hudson's, there you go.
Very cool. All right, so let's play our promos. We'll do a bit. Larry, take a break. I know you can talk forever. I know you can. But now you got...
We're loving it.
A couple minutes. We'll be back with more Motor Mouth Radio with Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and Larry Montanez. We're going to learn more about insurance. Not got enough time to do it all, but we'll cram in what we can.
Yeah.
So keep it where you got it right here on 90.3 WHPC.
Good notes.
Car not running right? Let the Motor Mounts help you out at 516-572-7440.
90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar Lifetime Nationwide Warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Corman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my buddies at, what's the name of it again?
Motor Mouth Radio.
Hey, Mark Corman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my friends at Motor Mouth Radio. Sunday morning, I don't know what this fat bald guy's laughing about. You'll forget stuff soon enough too, my friend. Be sure to listen. When are you guys on? 10 a.m.?
Sundays at noon.
Noon on Sundays.
Excellent. This was
no, that's you got the promo for the best one was the first one. That's why I was because you said what was the name of this again? That's the promo.
What better presentation could you do than that?
Hey you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
We are back. Motor Mouth Radio with Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, and Larry Montanez. We're talking insurance and how to get, when people get their car fixed, what they're in for. Chris, I didn't know this was so, I mean, you know, I kind of knew that this was an all-inclusive thing because, you know, I hear the guys around the shop talk, and the shop is primarily a body shop. But, you know, to hear a pro like Larry lay it out is quite different.
And yeah, I mean, you think about all the components that go into a simple door when, if a door gets dented and what's involved. And I know, Larry, just even taking the inner door panel off, like that's all from what I heard in newer cars. It's like one piece. Like if there's a piece of trim that comes off that door panel, it's like you have to replace the whole entire door panel because it's not serviceable. There's those issues as well, that what is serviceable and what isn't.
Right.
What has to be completely replaced.
I know that for a fact. I know that because I've seen this happen in the shop where, you know, the trim gets, and then you get the whole other problem. Forget the cost. Then you get the parts availability. You know, they have a sign in the shop on the CarStar, and they have the stages of the repair. And I want to put a carrot with another one in about waiting for the parts because it's ridiculous. Yeah, Larry, we were filling in while you were away there. So,
well, as far as door panels go, the trim panels, you can get those. Sometimes they come in 2 or 3 pieces. Sometimes some of the trim is not available. You got to buy it as a whole unit, which can be $800 to $2,000, depending on the type of door trim panel. I find a lot of this stuff will break because nobody wants to read the repair instructions on how to remove it, and it shows you exactly how to remove it. And you know, each OEM has their own repair website for each one of their own vehicles, but people don't want to join it and pay $25 for the day or the 3-day access. They use companies like AllData, which AllData is very good as far as reprinting purposes from the manufacturer. And they can't even ask questions. They got a toolbox area there. You can ask a question if something doesn't show up. But it gives you exploded views on how to take the door trim panel off. Once you get the door trim panel off, there's another panel on the inside, usually the module, which is now your window regulator. and most of the inner door panels. So the door is usually pretty much open and cut out versus what we're used to from the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, where there were holes, access holes in certain portions of the metal door. And then there would be three bolts very close to each other and usually a triangular type shape that was holding the regulator in. And the regulator would have to be played around with until you could get it to weasel out one of the holes in the door because it wouldn't come out through the top, and you'd have to work it that way. Well, now the module and everything comes off on one big piece, so you have to actually punch out or pull out like little plastic grommet areas and unbolt or push out some sort of keyway that holds the glass in, lift the glass out, and then you take out the whole entire window regulator, cables, everything in one shot, and now you have a big opening to the door.
Wow.
Which makes repair easier if you have to do repair to the door and the intrusion beam isn't damaged, but that can come into play. And then there's a whole reset on the glass and stuff like that. So it's, like you guys were saying, it's not the same thing that people used to be used to. And a lot of the problems come in is that bodymen think they can fix everything. I'll figure it out. And it can sometimes cost the shop money for broken parts, time, labor. Breaking something that shouldn't have been broken because nobody wants to read the repair instructions on how to do it. It's like the test I do to everybody is the first thing that most of these repair procedures tell you to do is disconnect the battery to do any type of work. You got to take the bumper off. Toyota, Nissan, Honda, let's say, for example, popular vehicles, it tells you disconnect the battery, and then there's usually a hyperlink to what happens when you disconnect the battery, stuff that has to be reset. Okay. The second thing is front or rear bumper covers or fascias. Jack up and support the car and remove the wheels, and it gives you a wheel link to for taking off the wheels and putting them back on again. So you're two mechanics. You're two guys are involved in this community. Did you ever read a procedure on how to take off a tire and put it back on again?
No, but I had to write one. Because part of my college experience early on was I had to learn technical writing, and one of our assignments was exactly that because the teacher was kind of a car guy, and he says, "Okay, you're going to write a technical procedure for how to change a flat tire." And of course, everybody failed because they said, "Well, take the old tire off, put the new one on." No, how about set the parking brake, shut the car off, set the parking brake, open the, I mean, literally, like, it was like, and I knew because I had been reading already car manuals for years, so I knew how those procedures went. And I realized to this day, I talk to people about that. Technical writing is definitely a skill that most people don't have, but it's needed. It is very much needed.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you have to realize when they write these procedures and they say, oh, engineers know what they're talking about. Well, they're trying to show you something so you understand it. And the big thing is when obviously the jacking procedure where you can jack the car from not to do damage to it. The loosening of the lug nuts is usually not a big deal. It's the tightening. There's a certain torque spec to each one of it. You're not supposed to use torque, supposed to use a torque wrench, not torque sticks, because torque sticks can be torsionally changed by the impact gun that you have. So it's like you can't get a wheel off sometimes. You go, oh, give me Ray's impact gun. It works better than mine. It's stronger. Well, that same Ray's torque gun could also cause a problem. His impact gun could cause a problem. Torquing a wheel on with a torque stick, it might twist it more than Chris's torque gun. So that's why they tell you you got to tighten it down with a torque wrench, and then you got to take it for a 1 mile drive, and then go ahead and check the torque again to make sure that nothing moved. Additionally, they tell you when you do before you put the wheel back on, the back face of the hub of the wheel, the mounting area, and the hub face of the rotor are supposed to be clean of any material. So sometimes a wire brush, wipe it down, no grease, no oil, and then put those back on. That's so that it seats properly. And the idea of torquing the wheels down is so that you don't warp the rotor. Highly unlikely you're going to stretch the bolt to the point that that bolt is going to snap and break, the stud, I should say. But you can not tighten it enough, and then you could have, from the centripetal force of the vehicle moving, you could have the lug nuts loosen up and come off, and then eventually stretch or break and have a wheel dislodge from its mounting.
Larry,
And,
one of the tools I had to buy off the Snap-on truck is a 4-foot breaker bar because I got a Mercedes and I had to work on it. And I think the lug spec on the Mercedes was over 100 foot-pounds already, and I couldn't get it off with a 1/2-inch impact gun. I had to literally use 4-foot breaker bar. That's how over tightened those lugs were. So yeah, that's one of the things we always preach on this show is, torque. Definitely torque.
Well, you do have to realize also probably what added to that is that somebody doesn't rotate their tires. Most wheels nowadays are aluminum. I know they call them mag wheels, but that's because back in the 70s they had magnesium wheels. And when a car went on fire, it was a problem to put out magnesium. You needed a Class D fire extinguisher. So they changed it to aluminum, just kept the word mag. But the aluminum alloy wheels we have now on vehicles are always mounted to a steel hub on the rotor. And there's steel bolts that stick through the aluminum alloy wheel. And then you have aluminum nuts that tighten down onto the steel studs that clasp the aluminum alloy to the lug nut, lug nut seat to the rotor. And the problem is that we don't live in a perfect environment. We don't live in a lab. So we have moisture. And moisture, along with steel and aluminum and salt in the air, other chemicals that float in the air, cause it to rust. And when steel rusts, aluminum likes to protect it like a bodyguard. Aluminum breaks down through something called galvanic corrosion, and it forms this powdery substance. And basically, what you're doing is the aluminum wheel will actually glue on to the steel hub. The rotor, and a lot of times you have to hit it with a hammer to get it off. Well, here's a tidbit from almost all the German companies, and Land Rover, Jaguar also, and even some of the higher end brake company, high end brake rotors and pads that are on certain cars, certain models. If you hit the wheel off with a hammer, you have to change the rotor.
Okay. Oh. Wow.
So if you just hit it with your hand and it comes off, no problem. But if you have to hit it with a hammer multiple times, multiple areas, you have to change the rotor because of the damage to the rotor from the galvanic corrosion. And that comes from people not rotating the tires every 7,500 miles minimum.
I do it every oil change.
That doesn't hurt either. As long as you can rotate them, that's great. I mean, my vehicle now happens to have wider tires in the rear than in the front, so I'm not rotating anything.
Right.
So it's a pain in the ass, but I do take them off every oil change just to make sure and clean them and put them back on again. But that can be forget about the mechanics, forget about changing the rotors, forget about all spending that money. You get a flat tire on the side of the roadway and you got to get your wheel off. Good luck. Because it never happens on a nice sunny day. It's always freezing cold out. It's raining, snowing, whatever. And you're trying to get this thing off while you're tired. And you don't have a hammer inside the car to try and get this off. You're never getting that wheel off.
No, we keep the hammer on the motorcycle, but that's another story. I got to tell you, there is a tool available. I bought one from Ackerman Brian, and it is a wheel hub conditioning tool where once you have that wheel off, it'll go over the stud and condition like a roll-lock disc, and it'll clean off the rust and corrosion. And it, it's not with the price of tools and what we buy anyway. It's a useful outlay to to keep that stuff in check. Larry, I got to tell you something. We are getting close. We have 10 minutes left, and we do have a hard ending to the show. So when we're done, we're done. So I thank you for coming on. I want to ask you.
I appreciate it. Yes.
Talking about all the new stuff, but I want to talk about Cadillacs for a minute. Old Caddies.
Yes.
You still got one, don't you?
Yeah, I still have my 71 Caddy. Nice. I got to sell it. I don't do anything with it. It's horrible. I start it every so often. I go and I fill it up at the gas station, but I got to shut it off when I fill it up. Not for safety purposes, for the fact that the pump can't keep up with the car drinking gas. So I just stay there for days. Sucking gas down. I think I get like with the tune up and the new air filter and stuff like that. I think I'm getting like 25 to 30 feet per gallon now.
So they're doing good.
So bad.
FPG,
it's not too bad.
So I'll tell you what, though, I will put it out to you that I do know a bunch of guys now. I do restoration work and a lot of guys in the field. If you do want to sell it, get me the info and I'll put the word out to the community.
Okay,
and,
definitely. I'll give you the info.
I can definitely maybe help you out with that. That's because I know you really enjoyed driving that car back years ago. I know it was a lot of.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I got, it's just life changes, and I don't have time to go sit in a hot asphalt parking lot to try and win a $20 trophy anymore.
Nah.
Let somebody else enjoy it.
Yeah, it's good. Just take a cruise, cruise down Ocean Parkway or something, and take a nice little ride.
So, Larry, are the door straps, the inside door straps, still holding on to the door, or did they break off long ago?
Oh no, my caddy's fine. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
everything's attached to it. Everything works well.
The dash
This
doesn't
was
squeak. You
no,
don't
the
get
dash
squeak
doesn't
in the
squeak.
dashboard.
No.
You still have the let's see, the wood inlay around the steering wheels. That's still attached.
It's 90% intact.
Right,
It's got a little bit of cracking going around. Yes, I will admit that. Probably needs to be done. But that's nothing that you can't do anything about that. That just goes.
No,
But
no.
the cloth and the leather is soft. The dashboard's not cracked. The armrest on the side of the doors aren't
Right.
cracked.
Armrest
You
on
know,
the driver's door is
yeah,
always
always cracked
culprit.
and stuff. All that stuff's not cracked, so that's pretty good. You know.
Our friend Billy's still rocking this beauty here with
Ah,
the
there he
white,
is.
That's a
right?
70.
So yeah, that's a 70, right? So
Right.
I got a 71.
great cars.
Right. You got right the first year for the 71 to 76s, which
Yep.
is
Yeah.
interesting
Still-
interesting model.
Still a 429 though, correct? In that
No,
car?
no.
472.
472.
368?
Yeah.
No,
Oh, okay.
472.
And the lifters, you still hear? Do you hear the lifters in the morning when you start it up?
Of course you do.
Typewriter.
Yeah. Sounds like a typewriter. Like it's crazy.
Right.
I had a 72, so I
Yeah,
totally
same
get
thing.
it. Totally get it.
Now, there's nothing like driving an old Caddy, and any of those cars, the Royales, the Park Lanes. I mean, any of the big GM cars from that era would just the cruisers, man. Those were just the
Yeah,
road
they
cars.
drive similar.
I'll tell you right now, they are all starting to go up in value. They are truly all of the bigger, the big boats of the 60s and 70s are all starting to creep up, which is pretty interesting because they've been beaten down for years. Like everybody be like, oh, it's just a 71 Caddy.
But the
now
Caddies,
they're pretty
especially,
significant.
a lot of those cars just got relegated, like the Seville you had, just relegated to the garage. It was Dad's or Grandpa's car, and they just parked it in the garage, put a tablecloth over it, and forgot about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to find a chandelier in the trunk. As long as it was on the roof, that was okay, because that means it was another kind of thing. We won't get into that. But yeah, so they would just relegate they would just get parked and left. And as long as there was no rodent intrusion, they can be. I mean, we brought back some really nasty cars at the shop that some probably shouldn't have been brought back, but you can. There's good bones there. You really got to getting good parts is the thing. To get good quality parts, you get. That's a problem sometimes, but
it is a problem because I had a very good friend of mine that had a 67 Caddy with the 429, and he spent $700 for a water pump.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember that story. That was
right.
That was like the last year that happened, I think, right? A year or two.
Yeah, it was a year or two ago that it happened to a buddy of mine, and it was just, you think about spending that much money for something that, when we were younger men was a $35, $40 part.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get at the aid store on the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is amazing. Larry, what's the mileage on the Cadillac?
30. Don't hold me to it. I think it's 38.
Wow.
9 or 39.9, something like that. It's under 40.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
I got it with 29,000 original miles. So I put on 10,000 miles in like 20 years.
Drove it. So, Larry, how do we, any information you want to put out to the listeners where they can maybe get information to be a little more intelligible about things like this, or information for yourself if you have contact?
I would suggest everyone go to the Collision Hub. .com website, and there's a little chat box with Melanie that you can speak to about any questions or issues. So it's collisionhub.com. There's a chat box there, or you can email Melanie at collisionhub.com if you have any questions or issues with anything estimating, training. Consumers can call in. Kristen's there to assist with some issues with their policies or information that they don't understand. We do right to appraisals, which basically means that the insurance company and the body shop can't come to an agreement on a price. In your policy, you generally have something called a right to appraisal. Arguably an arbitration type of clause where both parties would hire an independent to come in and try and help out. And then if you have a car that's been, incorrectly repaired or you have issues with it, we can assist with post-repair inspections or after the collision is done, the repairs are done. If there's an issue with it, we can usually help out and give you some advice on that.
Excellent. Maybe we'll reach out to Collision Hub ourselves. Maybe we'll get them on and give them a shot on the show.
Person, we'd be more than happy to be on.
So, Larry, I thank you very much. It's been
Appreciate
too long, but we'll keep you in the loop, and I'm sure I'll have Ray in my ear again. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let me know. Come on anytime, man. Anytime you guys
Yeah.
want. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
We can definitely talk about this for another 3 hours.
There's so much, Grant, because we've all had cars in shops, and I've had very favorable, because I know the guys in the shop that I use. So, they treat me right. And I know they treat other people right too. It's not just because I'm a friend. But when it's kind of biased on my end because you have that inside track. A lot of people don't have the inside track. And, it's a problem. It's a stressful thing. So, all right, so that's it for this week. We will be back next week with more. Larry, thank you very much. We'll be in touch. So if Chris Switzer, Ray Guarino, Chris, what do I tell the people waiting for me out in the parking lot?
Don't follow us home, and especially if you got that hammer. Don't follow us home with the hammer.
That stays on the motorcycle. We'll bring that up another time. All right, Chris, we'll be back next week. We'll do this again. We'll hopefully you get your car fixed, you get those your coils squared away, and your brakes all done. We'll talk about that next week.
Gonna get my hands dirty.
Excellent. Wear some gloves. Put some gloves on.
Yes. Oh, yes. Rubber gloves.
I was using them last week. I'm going to kill a half a minute because Kim is moving around. I'm not a glove guy. I don't like to use them a lot, but only when it's a real greasy, dirty job. And then, I don't know. I was kind of breaking my mold last week.
I use them all the time. My hands still get dirty. I still can't figure it out.
All right. So keep your hands clean. Keep your nose clean. And we'll be back next week with more Motor Mouth Radio. Chris, we'll see you on 90.3 WHBC. We're out.
See you. Bye.